July the 2nd, 2020. Guys, you're looking at Venture Sky. It's one of the links on bpearthwatch.com. Just go there, scroll down on the left, and you'll see this right there. You come here, guys, and most of you know it, but there's a lot of new people signing up. And when you come in there, it will give you different things to look at, like the temperature, which the redder, the hotter you can see. And we've had extreme heat warnings today in Arkansas, guys, places like that. And it's a little cooler in the Jackson area down to the coast because we're finally getting some rain back in process. So that's cooling the temperature, and it's cleaning some of this dust out of the air. But what we're going to go to is at the very bottom. It's air quality. Click in here, parts per million, 10. What you're going to see is this is the Saharan dust cloud that's coming off of Africa. It does it every year, but this has been the worst, they say, in 50 years, but nowhere back at that time did we have the technology to accurately track this. To be honest with you, we're in grand solar minimum. The sun is extremely penetrating the heat from it. Sunburns have been bad the last 3 years, crop damage because of it. Doesn't take you long to feel this heat, guys. It's bad. And it's because, again, grand solar minimum, the shields are weak, gamma radiation, and it penetrates easily. So when you get that penetration and you get the parching of the surface of the desert areas, whether it's in Mexico or in Africa, it's drier and it's easier to lift into the dust clouds or into the cloud systems that are moving from Africa. This time of the year, they're moving west. But as we look at this, you guys in New Orleans, you're at 84, and these numbers, guys, you can study this, but what you can do is hover over any area, and you'll see what it's saying. This 85 is unhealthy for sensitive groups. If you smoke cigarettes, which is a lot of people, or have any kind of virus or anything like that, it's unhealthy. But as you come in 95, it doesn't say for sensitive people. It says unhealthy. In the Austin area right now, you're at 110. And we talked about this concentrated area moving up into Texas a few days ago. Now, if you will notice, as the rain is clearing here, and like I said, we finally got a good hard rain. The gardens needed it here in central Mississippi. And it's in this clearing area that we saw. But now that the rain's over, it's starting to fill back in through Jackson, over towards Meridian, down Scott County, Forest County, through here, Scott County and Morton, Forest, Mississippi. But, guys, this is a little stronger here now. What we had is a break. Remember the tropical system that came up, and they were watching as a 20% chance of development? What we talked about on that video was that it was going to give us a temporary break between this dust cloud that's coming off of Africa and what's already here. And these areas that have already passed these islands here, the Barbados Islands and all of that, you're talking about unhealthy 183, very unhealthy. Now, there doesn't appear to be a system that's going to break up the very intense cloud that's coming off of Africa now. So what that means, and let me back this out, give you an idea, is a long, unbroken pattern. You can see the heavy section here that was pushed back and kind of stacked up because of the tropical system we watched come in and dissipate. But back here, guys, this, and we're going to go through 4 days here, is going to get intense without a break in it. Now, these storms that we've been seeing have had intense lightning in them for the last 2 days. Yesterday, we had very dark clouds, very few sprinkles, but intense lightning. Today, when we finally got the rain, it was rolling thunder. I'm talking about very serious and lightning and things like that. But as we move this forward, and if you look at the timestamp here, we're at the 2nd. Today is Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. Watch how this thing moves. We're getting closer to the U.S. or to the west, what they would call the west. That's tomorrow, on the 4th of July. This thing is increasing and starting to extend out. That will be this weekend, guys. Check this out. Coming in, it's still very unhealthy here. But this is part of that first section. But this is going to get serious. We're going to the 5th, which would be Sunday. And it's kind of like tentacles reaching out. But there's no break in it this time. All the way through this area, 183, very unhealthy. This will be moving into Caribbean, the Bay of Campeche, the Gulf of Mexico, and into the southeast. Now, guys, if even with the overcast the last few days, and I'd like to ask you guys that have been part of this to comment below, it's been like you were wearing yellow sunglasses even with the overcast, and even now here as this is coming back in, the sky's just got that kind of golden hue to it, which is dust. It's like forest fires will do, and that's what we've been seeing here for a few days. But again, we're going through Saturday to Sunday. That's as far as this model will go at this time, but it looks like a very uninterrupted time, and there is dust collecting on a lot of things here. I've had people say that it's actually doing some crop damage itself. Again, it's a natural thing that happens every year, but never this intense. And since I can remember, and again, they say in 50 years, but I really don't know how much the technology has advanced since that point, but you know it has by leaps and bounds. So it's just like watching space satellites. You know, we didn't have that technology before to see this, but we're in grand solar minimum. And what that means is, again, it's each 11.8 year cycle of the solar cycle goes through. We're in diminishing peaks as far as when it comes back up and you start seeing a lot of solar activity. Now, because of that, and we're seeing this parching of the desert, and it's easily lifted into these winds that you see that are moving from right to left or towards the west. What is going to happen? Two things we're going to have to watch. We know these dust clouds suppress tropical development. Now, a lot of people will say, well, that's a good thing because we've had very destructive hurricanes that have come through this entire section many times. But guys, what happens is God created the earth the way it is. And when you go through these lower solar cycles, you start seeing these events like we're seeing now. But you don't have the cooling effect. When a hurricane is formed, it's a way of the earth naturally cooling itself during extreme heat conditions. Now, even though we're in a solar minimum because our shields are weak, because our magnetic shields are fed from the solar stream, the higher that solar stream is, the stronger our shields are. It's like an electric motor in the magnetic field around it, the faster it spins. But anyway, so what we're going to have is extreme heat buildup because we're not getting the release. As these hurricanes form, they take this hot air off the surface of the ocean, send it up through that funnel that you see going into the eye, into the upper atmosphere where it's cooled. And the earth cools itself like a radiator. So this is going to increase the heat that we're dealing with. And what will happen is, as soon as this dies off a little later in the season, what we might need to watch for is that sudden release of a lot of pent-up heat in major hurricane weather. I just wanted to update this, guys. I know we've kind of been on this subject for a while, but if you live in the southeast, it's important. This stuff will get to your throat, it'll get to your eyes. It's coating the cars in many places, and it looks like the worst is to come. But what you want to do, a lot of people probably have some masks. If you got to work outside, cut grass, or just be outside doing anything for any period of time, I'm not, saying that you should wear this mask all the time. And I'm not talking about the virus. I'm talking about this dust cloud, because when they say unhealthy or very unhealthy or unhealthy for sensitive groups, I know it's true. And many people in the comments in the last few videos about this have said, we work outside today, I coughed all night, my kids coughed, my eyes watered. It's unhealthy. That's why we are reporting on this. We're going into the 4th of July weekend. What is that? It's celebrating the independence of our nation. And our nation is not looked upon very favorably by many people right now. We've seen a lot of things happening in the last few weeks, guys. You know exactly what I'm talking about concerning a lot of different things. I'm just going to leave it at that. So I want you to be very aware of your surroundings. I would avoid large groups, regardless. It's a heads up. Be safe.